Emma, it's 9 o'clock. The news with Eris Stewart. Good morning, Eris.
Good morning, Sophie.
We start with the headlines.
FCC arrests update sees 2 more police officers arrested in reward money probe. Fertility rate drops to 1.41 while government announces action plan. Independent energy producers now responsible for over half of Mauritius's electricity. More details in this bulletin. Energy Minister warns of possibility of blackouts as emergency measures are considered. Orchard Centre in Catraborn shut down temporarily over fire safety concerns. Foul play suspected in death of Plainvert resident as one suspect is arrested. In world news, 19,000 Afghans exposed in UK data breach with fears of Taliban reprisals. And in sports news, in the Women's Euro 2025, Italy beat Norway 2-1 to reach semi-finals. We start this morning on the investigation into irregularities surrounding the reward money system that has seen new developments with the arrest of 2 more police officers. But who exactly are these officers? Lovina Sophie gives us more details.
The individuals in question are Sergeant Yashdeo Siborot, previously assigned to the Police Research Development Unit, and ASP Faraz Munyarot, former head of the now defunct Force Crime Intelligence Unit. Sergeant Yashdeo Siborot was questioned at length in presence of his lawyer, Nadim Aidiakan. The FCC suspects him of embezzling funds originally intended to reward police informers. Between September and October 2024, a sum of 19.3 million rupees is said to have passed through his bank account. ASP Faraz Munyaret is represented by Isham Uzia. In addition, ACP Lilham Dial, also arrested for the same offence, is expected to appear in court on Thursday.
And now moving on to another important matter. Mauritius is facing a continued decline in fertility rates, which have dropped to 1.41 children per woman in 2024, well below the population replacement level. In response, Health Minister Anil Bechu announced in Parliament on Tuesday that a multi-sector committee will be set up to address the issue. Several initiatives are already in place, including prenatal care clinics to promote planned pregnancies, a fertility clinic at SSRN Hospital, which has seen over 460 consultations this year and offers in-uterine insemination, maternity leave extended from 14 to 16 weeks, and the introduction of 4 weeks of paternity leave under the 2024 budget. But will these measures be enough to reverse the trend? We hear from sociologist Deepa Gokal Singh, who spoke to Lovina Sophie.
If we could look at policies to encourage couples to have more children, perhaps in terms of incentives, for example, work from home, we've also seen since COVID that there's been a bit more flexibility, even if it means a bit more work, because leaving a child in a crèche nowadays is expensive, or hiring a nanny.
And moving on to energy-related news, independent electricity producers are becoming key players in maintaining supply in the current context of an energy crisis and account for about 53% of the country's total electricity production. But how do these producers intend to adapt to the current challenges between growing demand and the transition to cleaner energies? We take a listen to more on this report with Pranav Bihari.
Last summer was particularly challenging for the CEB, with consumption peaks reaching over 567 megawatts. And to keep up with this ever-growing demand, the 15 or so independent power producers play a key role alongside the national grid. Among them, Omnikane, with its 2 thermal power plants, alone provides nearly 26% of the country's annual electricity needs, according to its CEO, Jacques Dugnaville.
Les centrales sont des centrales qui fonctionnent à la...
Our power plants run on bagasse and coal. We ensure that the maintenance work is done before summer so that we can supply enough energy during the consumption peaks.
Quand le pic arrive pendant l'été.
These independent producers are increasingly turning to green energy, biomass, wind and solar power, helping to reduce carbon emissions and the country's dependence on fossil fuels.
Depuis quelque temps maintenant, il y a une réflexion au niveau national de comment...
There is a reflection on the national level as to how we can stop using coal and exploit biomass. Many studies and trials are being undertaken so that we can implement this transition over the next 5 years. We are currently building a 5 megawatt photovoltaic park. We hope it will be connected to the grid next year.
sera sur le réseau début de l'année prochaine.
A necessary transition according to experts, and to meet the rising demand, energy specialist Khalil Elahi believes the market needs to be opened to more independent power producers.
Maintenant, avec la réalité qui nous est là, nous faisons une autre façon d'intégrer d'abord l'énergie renouvelable.
Given the current situation, we must find new ways to integrate renewable energy onto the grid. There is also a necessity to ensure that contracts and PPAs are much fairer for the consumers. And thirdly, we should be able to make place for new IPPs.
Tout à fait correct, nous faire place pour de nouveaux IPP, de nouveaux players, comment nous dire, dans le secteur.
With winter temperatures, consumption these days hovers between 400 and 425 megawatts, temporary respite, because according to the Central Electricity Board's forecasts, peak demand is expected to exceed 600 megawatts by 2026, a race against time, say industry players, to speed up the energy transition and open the market further to independent producers.
And staying on similar news, Energy Minister Patrick Asiavaden was a guest on NBC yesterday where he discussed the risk of power cuts becoming a reality. To avoid a blackout, the government is exploring several emergency options. The subject of the electric barge was also raised. The project, he said, is still on the table, pending a decision by the CEB Board of Directors. Orchard Centre in Catrabon was closed to the public yesterday. This was due to a fire safety certificate that did not comply with the law. As minimum fire safety standards were not guaranteed, an inspection was carried out during the day to ensure the safety of both employees and customers. According to Ashok Ramdyan, Deputy Chief Fire Officer, the fire safety certificate should be issued today as the centre now meets the standards in force in Mauritius. And in other news, in Plainviet, a foul play is suspected in the death of Vengaran Pillay Virapen, who was found dead at his home yesterday afternoon. The autopsy concluded that he died from a skull fracture. The Port Louis CID has already arrested a suspect in the case. And it's 9:07. You're listening to RM1. We move now to international news, where the accidental disclosure of the data of 19,000 Afghans who helped British forces has plunged some of those concerned and their families into fear of reprisals from the Taliban. While some have been discreetly evacuated by the United Kingdom since last year, others are still complaining of feeling abandoned. And finally, on to sports. We start with soccer, where the 2025 Women's Euro has reached an important milestone with the quarterfinals. The first match saw Italy triumph 2-1 over Norway. A brace from Christina Girelli secured victory for the Azure, eliminating the Norwegians, who had equalized thanks to a penalty from Ada Hegerberg. This was a valuable victory for Italy, who are back in the Euro semi-finals for the first time since 1997. Tonight, it's time for the second quarterfinal, with the defending champions England taking on Sweden, where the English are keen to defend their title and secure their place in the next round. That's all from me this morning. Thanks so much for tuning in. Stay tuned now to Intermediate playlist until 10 a.m.
Suivez-nous sur les réseaux sociaux, Instagram pour les stories, des Reels, TikTok pour du fun, des